first of all, I'd want to congratulate you for Rocket Boys. There have been amazing reviews. The
Right.
show is really amazing, and I've actually been asked by my friends to tell you that they absolutely love the series. So yeah, like congratulations on doing that.
Thank you so much.
So, if you could just tell me what was that one thing that came to your mind to, come up with a topic like this, like, to dramatize something that's been there in the Indian history.
So again, Divya, it will be wrong of me if I take the credit for this. I mean, I think the idea, the concept came from this guy called Abhay Pannu, who went up to Sid Roy Kapoor. 2019 was the 100th birth anniversary of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. So Sid wanted to make a show on the 100th anniversary of Dr. Sarabhai. So on Dr. Sarabhai, and he approached Nikhil Advani, and both of them had been wanting to work on something together for some time, and this sort of seemed like a good concept. So Nikhil, who I had been assisting for about 3 years, he came up to me and he said that, I'd like you to make this as your first project. Can you develop it? So that is when this concept, the idea was given to me, and that's when I started writing, researching, meeting people, watching documentaries, watching shows and everything, reading books on these people. And today the show's out.
You've got a great cast also right there, and the acting of each character there is amazing. So, how did you come up with that? Like, what went behind selecting the actors for roles, especially Jim Sarab and Ishwak, like, and also the guy who played Abdul Kalam. So those three characters and every character, in fact, what behind that?
So again, I want to give a lot of credit to Kavish, who's the casting director, to find like a really good supporting cast. But if I have to talk about the leads, like let's talk about Jim. So when we started doing our research about Dr. Bhabha, we realized that he was a man of mystery, intrigue, little mercurial, enigmatic, very very wicked sense of humor, funny, very intelligent, smartest man in the room. He had that, and very very polished. And if you know Jim at all, if you met Jim, he's very similar to that. He has similar traits. So it was actually a no-brainer. Of course, the fact that he's also a Parsi and a phenomenal actor, and he has these little qualities about him that make him so similar to what my perception of Dr. Bhabha was, or what our research on Dr. Bhabha said. So it was a no-brainer. I don't think there was anybody who could have done Dr. Bhabha the way Jim has played it. So there is no way that anybody else could have done it. Also because of the fact that he's also Parsi, Dr. Bhabha was a Parsi, and everyone, be it the creators, be it Sony, everyone from the beginning were very clear that if Dr. Bhabha's role has to be played, it has to be played by Jim Sarbh, no one else.
So he was the first choice since the beginning of the time.
First choice, and there is no other choice. There's no, and full credit to him for him to do so much justice to the role. It's incredible. It's incredible what he's done with the show. Similarly with Ishwak's character took us a lot of time to audition. Honestly, we took a lot of time finding Vikram Sarabhai, primarily because of the fact that the Sarabhai family was very deeply involved in the making of the show. They gave us their blessings, and they gave us their rights of their father and mother. So she was very actively involved in the process of finalizing every character. And when we started getting auditions, some of them we liked, some of them we didn't. We sent them across to Malika. None of them were working out, and then we came across the audition of Ishwak, who had seen in Patal Lok recently. And we immediately loved him. We sent it to Malika, and the moment she saw his audition, she said, "This is Papa." And when she said, "This is Papa," there was no need to look further, because if a daughter can look at an actor and say that this is my father, I think we don't have to look any further. Also, it helped that Ishwak had done some theatre at Darpan with Malika, so she'd seen him perform. And Ishwak has a certain innocence and a sense of slight mystery about him. Mischief in his eyes. Which Malika said that, this is exactly what Papa used to be like. He was very simple, very innocent, very, very intelligent. Of course, we're not even talking about how intelligent and how smart they were, but had a sense of, very slight mischief in his eyes, which Ishwak got very right. So yeah, beyond that, very easy. Similarly with all other characters, I think, be it Regina, who was again the most obvious choice again to play the role of Mrinalini Sarabhai, who's a Bharatanatyam dancer, who's from South, who's from Chennai. So we had to ensure that we cast someone who is from Chennai, who knows Bharatanatyam, who when she speaks in Hindi, she has a certain accent. So we wanted to get all of that right, and yeah, I guess similarly with Dibyendu, who's playing Mehndi Raza, we had to get the accents and the authenticity of the characters right. Yeah, so yeah,
You know,
it's marks to Avish to present these auditions to us and these options to us.
so that being about the cast, let's talk about the research part, because every detail has been on point. So what kind of research did you do for this entire series, the project?
See, I'll be honest. All their achievements, all their qualifications, all their institutions, all their experiments are very well documented. You just Google and you'll find like multiple articles, documentaries, and books. Of course, we had the support of the family, so we had access to other information as well. So, information on these people was, easily available. I mean, you spend a couple of months and you'll find all information that you want to find about these people, as much as you can pack into the 8 episodes. The tricky part was to get the science right. So we had a few science experts on the show who always ensured that, okay, this has to be, the dialogue has to be this way, or this prop can't look like this. In 1940s, Geiger counter did not look like this. It looked like this. Okay, so these are the kind of balloons that they were using in 1940s. We found archival footage from which we, use the archival footage to make those props as well. I like to joke that my production designer and my assistant director team, they can unsuccessfully launch a rocket and unsuccessfully make a nuclear reactor now. The rocket won't take off, neither will the reactor generate electricity. But they've done as so much research that they can actually make a terrible rocket for sure. Itna to kar lenge. But yeah, the kind of research that these people have put. I also do not take credit for most of the research that happened towards after I'd written the story to present it on screen. The kind of research that all the teams put in is full marks to them. To find out articles from some hidden library, a book that they found, okay, 1950s Calcutta mills used to look like this. So we can't show this fabric in the 1950s, or we can't show this cushion cover in the 1940s, because these were the not kind of cushions that were there. So we've been trying. We tried to be very authentic, and full marks to the entire the crew.
I was actually come to that how difficult was it for you to show pre-independence India, the technicalities that have gone into it as a maker? How difficult was that for you? Research, yes, the things that you've told me, for something as simple as a question pattern or anything, all those details have been put in right there. Right. But apart from that, like, was it really difficult to recreate the pre-independence era?
The most difficult part was to find locations that can pass off as pre-independence locations. That was the most difficult thing. And then even with that, there all those buildings still have some modern element which has to be either removed, and these are all heritage buildings. It becomes so challenging to get permissions to remove those things from there, and then finally when those don't happen, then you have to clean it up in VFX. So of course we were very, very, very conscious. We were very conscious of finding locations that looked from that period, be it Ahmedabad, be it Calcutta, or be it Bombay. The story set over multiple cities, so we had to ensure that we find those locations first. And then the dressing up of the locations, ensuring that the art design, set design, was again a challenge in itself. Like I've already told you, was a challenge because as much as research as we could have done, we did it. But we can't really find everything that's there. We the pre-independence era of the show looks like my version of what the pre-independence era looked like. Of course, there are multiple shows and films that you see, and you can. But again, I mean, there's no saying really. There's no guarantee that what they have shown in the show is also correct. Um, but again, like we put in like a year of our effort in finding locations, doing that research, spending like quite a lot of money to give my producers the credit for that, to ensure that even if we found a location which remotely can pass off as a 1940s ka location, but now you have to dress it up and now you actually make it look like a 1940s location. So all of that had to be done and couldn't have been done without the support of the producers, or couldn't have been done without the research that these people did for a year before we started shooting. Yeah.
Okay, the topic that you've picked up, and there are two important people of the Indian history. Was there any sort of pressure on you that, what if one thing goes wrong and there might be a backlash, or just, going absolutely correct with the history, with every detail? Was there some sort of pressure that you dealt with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that pressure, I mean, yeah, of course, that pressure was, of course, there. I'll be dishonest if I say that I was relaxed. No, I wasn't. um, but the thing that helped Divya was that when we wrote the script, we were constantly getting very good support from everywhere. When we wrote the script, I showed it to my mentor, my guru, Nikhil Advani, and he said, this sounds good. This sounds like a really good script, and it does sound that it does look like we'll do justice to their arcs or to their stories. We shared it with the family. They gave the stamp of approval. Okay, this is nice. Probably make these changes, and we are good. We started shooting it. When we were shooting it, we were feeling that, oh, okay, I think we are doing good. It's shaping up there. So at every stage of this process, we were being reassured by either by the people around us, or we were being reassured that, okay, we are probably onto something good. No matter how people receive it later, we are probably doing the best we can do to tell this story. So when that happens, you sort of relax a bit, and you feel that you are giving it your best. You are ensuring that you are spending sleepless nights and months and years of your life in making something that you will probably be proud of later. So I believe that we were being constantly assured that we aren't going wrong. Whether it will be good or great or even average is not important right now. But at least we are not going wrong. This much we were clear about while we were making it, and once we had sat down. When I sat down on the edit table, this is something that I had a sense of. Okay, we've not gone wrong at least. But as they say, I mean, you can't really predict anything. On the day of the release, of course, all of us were really anxious, very nervous. That just because the release of a show, because we were telling, as you correctly said, we were telling the stories of two scientists, not two scientists, of a nation we were telling the story of a country,
Yeah.
and scientists and politicians and history and so many geopolitical events that someone might take offense to something, and then it might just go all wrong. So I will be dishonest if I say that I wasn't nervous. I was nervous. But I hope we've managed to win people's love, I think.
I mean, you've got 9.5 rating on IMDB. How does that feel then, with all that pressure, and now when it has released and you've got such a great rating plus the thunderous responses that you've been getting? How does that feel even now?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel happy, of course. Honestly, yeah, overwhelming. It's very overwhelming, humbling that people have actually liked your version of the story. It's very Make a show or when you tell a story, it's always your version of how that story should be told. And it's always tricky because there are people who, if you've seen the trailer or they know of the story, they already have a perception of what the story is going to be. And so your story has to come in, replace their idea of what the story is going to be, and then place itself in their minds as the correct version of the story. So when that happens, I think it's always a big relief. So yeah, I'm not looking at the IMDb rating honestly because things change. Sometimes suddenly somebody will vote and it'll go down. But as long as I know, and as far as I've interacted with people, everybody who've seen the show have been very, very proud. They feel very, they feel very emotional about the story, which I think is a
What's
victory for us.
what's the best compliment that you've got so far for this? Like something that's really close to your heart.
The best compliment that I've received so far is when my mother cried when she saw the show. I think that's the
Okay.
best compliment I've gotten.
So, as a filmmaker, is there one moment, if there had to be one moment that gave you goosebumps, which one would that be and why?
Um, the young Kalam entry in the fourth episode, where the young Kalam is introduced in the show after independence. I mean, I know when I was finally watching the show before we released it, there were a few moments where I used to feel goosebumps. I used to feel, oh, nice, this is a nice moment. How did we manage to do that? So but still, one of the moments that I really, really like a lot is where young Kalam comes and he gives uh, says that Nazm to Chacha in the mosque, because I feel that that gives like a perfect introduction to one of the most beloved characters of the country, icons of the country, and it also establishes Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam as a symbol of harmony and a symbol of hope, which Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was. He was a symbol of harmony. He was beyond political parties and religions and cultural communities and everything. He was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the President of India. So we know him as a symbol of harmony, and I think that moment really sums up his personality. So yeah, I think that is one of my most favorite moments in the show.
Okay, I've got one last question. Is there going to be a second season to this? Because will there be, a sequel that will show the tragedy, the Dr. Bhabha tragedy, plus Dr. Abdul Kalam's life as well after that? Will there be a
There
second season
there
coming?
is a second season in works. Yes, there is.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. So one last thing, you want to say to our viewers, our readers for Asianet, anything that you want to say about the series, your special moments or things that you remember, things that are really close to your heart.
I believe that uh, telling the story was very important. I don't think of it as my mission, but I really think of it as a thing that should have been done and should be constantly done to tell stories of true nation builders, true heroes, and to try and reacquaint audiences with the contributions of these gentlemen. So, I'm sure people will try and tell these stories a lot, but I would like to see the youngsters, the young audiences, to relate with these people, to watch the show and to feel that these men were like us. They were like you and me. They faltered like us. They fought like us. They fell in love, fell out of love, had crazy ambitions and dreams, digressed from their paths, but ultimately managed to do great things and make the country as we know it today. So if people are able to watch and relate with these characters, that, oh, these people are like us, but they've managed to do something great, maybe even I have it in me to do something better for the nation, or not for the nation, for my family, for myself, for my friends. Let's just be better people. So if people, if once they've seen the show and if this is what they feel, then I think I'll have done a good job as a storyteller.
If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel.